Got some breaking news at Coding is for Losers headquarters. Supermetrics has just informed me that they've released a BigQuery connector that allows you to push data from APIs like Google Analytics, Facebook ads, Twitter ads, etc., up to a BigQuery database. This allows you to use Supermetrics for BigQuery as part of our agency data pipeline process, which we've helped dozens of agencies set up to wrangle all of their data. Why this is breaking news? The current tool that we use for most agency data pipeline setups is Stitch. We like Stitch a lot, and generally we recommend it. But given that we also love Supermetrics for Sheets, we wanted to do a bake-off that maps out, can you use Supermetrics versus Stitch? When would we recommend Supermetrics for BigQuery versus Stitch? And kind of look at the pros and cons of each of them. I'll let you read the article, which is the detailed, like point-by-point review, which is linked to in the description of this video. But I want to first go over just some of the basic pros and cons of using Stitch versus Supermetrics for BigQuery. And this is going to be a bit of a rant, but bear with me. So the first thing is, a lot of the functionality between Stitch and Supermetrics for BigQuery is more or less the same, right? You connect your accounts, you push data from Google Analytics or Facebook ads up to BigQuery, and then you use the data downstream. So the first thing to note is that there is no silver bullet for data pipelining. There is no way for you to get around the technical skill of writing SQL and using SQL to analyze your data, right? If you're going to use a database like BigQuery, you should have someone on your team who's competent in SQL, or else you're just going to have a big headache trying to do anything with the data downstream. So if you don't have the technical skill, I don't recommend you use any ETL tool whatsoever. But assuming you do, Supermetrics for BigQuery and Stitch are going to be more or less the same. The differences are, first, in pricing, primarily. Stitch, I would say, is overall a cheaper product because they price per row and give you a lot more leeway versus Supermetrics for BigQuery, which charges per account. So if you have a lot of accounts, if you're a digital agency with, say, 50 clients and you run all these different platforms, Facebook ads, whatever it is, your bill will be much higher, I think, in Supermetrics for BigQuery. They do give volume discounts, on their pricing team, but still, I think Stitch overall is going to be a cheaper product at less than $6K per year. Supermetrics could be, double that easily. So on price, I would say Stitch is the winner. The second difference is the data sources that they connect. So Supermetrics for BigQuery does offer a lot of data sources that, for marketing specifically, that Stitch just doesn't offer. So like organic and paid social, so Twitter Insights, Twitter ads, Facebook and Instagram Insights, organic, are there for Supermetrics. Stitch doesn't support those. Adobe Analytics is supported by Supermetrics, not supported by Stitch. So because Supermetrics is much more focused on digital marketing data specifically, and a lot of their users are digital marketers, they're focused on those data sources. Stitch is more of a developer tool, so they're not as focused there. So that's another trade-off. So it's more or less price versus, access to more data sources for marketing. The third difference between Stitch and Supermetrics for BigQuery is that when you set up a new feed, you want to backfill data to a certain date, right? So you can do year-over-year comparisons. So if we're in 2019, you want to backfill data to at least the beginning of 2018, maybe 2017, to really make that data useful to look at your comparisons. So the way that Stitch does this is you just set a backfill date when you set up the feed. You just say backfill to January 2017. Boom, done. It automates all of the, obviously there's all these jobs that need to run to get that into your database, right? Supermetrics, you have to go and set up those jobs yourself. Honestly, that's a pain in the ass. I don't enjoy doing that, and I think that hopefully will change in the product in the future, because it's kind of a core part of setting up a feed is getting historical data. You don't just want data from today forward. That you're never really going to want that. So the fourth difference between Supermetrics and Stitch, fourth and final, I would say, main difference, is that Supermetrics does do a lot of data modeling for you. And by that I mean, so the Facebook API will spit out 5 to 6 tables that you need to use as part of your data models, right? Ads and ad groups are in separate tables. Ad creative is in a separate table. Your insights, reports by device and not by device. There's all this complexity around these API endpoints. What Supermetrics does kind of the transformation, I would say, for you, so that in your BigQuery data set, you actually just have like the modeled data. You have like the metrics by different dimensions. They also do this for Google Analytics. They just spit out a list of 8 different tables for Google Analytics when you connect your data source. The way that Stitch does it is you select your tables. It's very specific and developer friendly, I would say. You select your tables, you select your fields, and it syncs them. End of story, but you need to know which fields to sync, which tables to sync. So at Coding is for Losers, we like that because we write a lot of SQL models. So we have SQL models on the shelf to work with Stitch, that when we need to use, say, like Bing ads, we just pull the SQL models down off the shelf, aka the shelf is a GitHub repo in our case, and we use them. So for Supermetrics, it's really designed for less technical users that aren't comfortable doing that kind of data modeling. So that can help you get set up faster, right? But also you sacrifice some of the flexibility and customization that comes with being able to set your own tables and make your own base SQL models. So those are really the 4 differences, I would say, between Stitch and Supermetrics for BigQuery. And again, read the full review for some kind of sample pipeline cases and how we use them and all the nitty-gritty of this. But the 4 big differences are, 1, pricing. I think Stitch is frankly a lot cheaper than Supermetrics for BigQuery. The second difference is Supermetrics does offer more data sources, especially if you're working with organic or paid social data outside of Facebook. Third difference is Stitch does have an easier backfill setup. So if you're setting up a lot of accounts, like for an agency, that can really be helpful. And the fourth thing is Supermetrics does offer some data modeling. So it can make your life easier if you're less technical with writing SQL. So those are really the trade-offs. I would say the fact is, if you're building a data pipeline of any complexity, for whether for your own company or for an agency, you're going to end up probably using both tools. We really mix and match Stitch, Supermetrics, custom scripts that we write at Coding is for Losers. There is no single pipeline that we've built where we just use one tool. We're always mixing and matching and building kind of our own stack. Building your own stack gives you flexibility to take advantage of pricing differences between data sources, gives you, flexibility to take advantage of functionality differences between tools, and generally it just allows you to own your kind of destiny and not be locked into one or another tool. So we always go with a kind of stack approach and blend these tools together. I would guess that you'll probably end up doing the same. But like I mentioned in the beginning, I would not honestly embark on building a data pipeline for business or agency unless you have in-house SQL knowledge to maintain that data pipeline. It's not really, I wouldn't recommend like moving to a database like BigQuery if you don't have anyone on your team who's competent in getting data out, because honestly it'll just be more headaches than it's worth, and you'll end up hiring that person down the line after wasting a lot of time. My producer's telling me I'm out of time, so I hope this review helps you, and as always, feel free to ping me at help@codingisforlosers.com or at losershq on Twitter. Take care.